Hello and welcome to the Metal Pack Pod, the industry's leading podcast for the global metal packaging industry. The Metal Pack Pod is brought to you by the Metal Packager, the number one digital resource for the global metal packaging market. With over 7,000 monthly users in over 140 countries globally, be sure to check us out on metalpackager.com. I'm your host, Alex Fordham, and today we welcome Luc Brantjes, Tata Steel's Packaging Division Director of Sales, who is also APEAL's new president. During the episode, we discuss his ambitions for the role and the challenges ahead for the association and the steel industry as a whole. But before we begin the episode, we must give special mention to our sponsors, PPG. We're proud to partner with you and thank you for supporting the Metal Pack Pod this past year. Their range of innovative and sustainable solutions enables its customers to protect and beautify the world. Now on to today's show. First off, Luc, thanks very much for joining me. Looking forward to an interesting conversation and congratulations on your new appointment. So, looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, thank you very much. And thanks for inviting me and also looking forward to this conversation. So thank you. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. So, as customary on the Metal Pack Pod podcast, we've got a set of quick-fire questions just to whet the appetite for our listeners. So first off, our first question is your favourite metal packaging product ever?
Favourite metal product ever? Well, quite simple. I think two types of cans, the candy tins and the olive oil cans. I think they're both probably in design the most beautiful cans we can think of. I like them as a showcase in the kitchen. So it's those are, I think, my two favorite type of cans. Yes, correct.
Good answer. And two timeless products as well. Couldn't agree more. So your favorite personality from the industry you've worked with or you've met?
Now, favorite personality. Now, many, first of all. I work in this industry for 25 years, so I've met a lot of people in different roles, different settings. I think looking back, I think the biggest impression on me still is Chris Humphrey. He used to be the CEO of Crown in Europe. Unfortunately, he passed away, I think, end of 2012. I met him in the first months of my career within packaging. He was based in the UK and we worked together as account manager. He was in marketing, and at the end, we were still meeting when he was a CEO. So we had a very nice relation. And I think the fact that we grew up together, he was a bit older than I was, but that made a big impression. Yeah. I've met so many people, and favorite personality, I think, in packaging, there's such a diverse number of people in the industry from different countries, different cultures, different industries. So it's such a huge variety. So I still meet many nice people.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of this industry. Yeah, very diverse and obviously global industry. So it brings with it some interesting characters, that's for sure. So next question is working arrangements. Obviously, hate to use the term, obviously in the post-COVID world, so to speak, we've had a great deal many changes. But do you prefer the way that working arrangements are now? Obviously, we're on a call here today, Zoom. Do you prefer the way things are now, or do you prefer how things were, so to speak?
For me, the best would be a combination. So I like still face-to-face meetings to get to know each other better, to really get a good understanding of each other's drivers and motivations. However, the time it takes for traveling, for me, that has proven during COVID that is a lot of time consuming. By the way, also not always very good for the climate. So I like the combination. I can't imagine a world without personal contact. But I think the Zoom, the Teams can add a lot to the quality of the relations in terms of what you can do and how quick you can do it. If you need to speak to each other, you can do it immediately. You don't need to wait for your plane ticket. So a combination for me is the best way forward, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a hybrid model, so to speak. I think, it's a lot of popularity, but there's no substitute for that face-to-face interaction, that's for sure. Your proudest achievement within the industry?
Now, for me personally, no, but I think that for the total industry, I think the fact that we're still there, and being really at the forefront of all the current social, political, economic discussions, I think is the biggest achievement. So tinplate has been there for a long time, the canning industry in general. And I think that is the biggest achievement, that you are capable of renewing yourself all the time, over and over again, and still be relevant. Yeah.
No, it's a good answer, and one that I hadn't thought of for sure. So next question, in one phrase, the biggest challenge for APEAL moving forward, and this is probably quite timely for you, having just taken over the presidency. So yeah, looking forward to this answer, and potentially this is one that we can speak about in our discussion later on.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. And I think for us, the biggest future challenge lies into the fully closing the material loop. I think that for packaging, for APEAL, is the biggest challenge. And the fact that we are really aiming for zero landfill proves it, because that is the only way to really get there. So if all material gets reused in one way or the other, we are, and that is what APEAL is working on now in terms of with the memberships, with the working groups we chair, and also the discussions we have with the European Parliament. And we organize events to really bring this whole concept to their attention and the role APEAL is playing there. Yeah.
And is there any innovation within the industry that you're particularly excited about, looking forward to?
The biggest one currently for all of us, I think, is the new way of passivation, the CFPA material, developed by the European tin mill producers, well managed by APEAL, in my view, in the past, for the last probably, I think, 15 years. Mm-hmm. But as we speak, we are at a point that we are really close to full commercialization of the product. And I think knowing that it will stop us from using hexavalent chromium is a big achievement, both from a legislation point of view, but also from a personal and companies point of view, I should say, from all the members, and to really make sure that we provide a clean and healthy environment for all our colleagues. So this is probably for the industry a huge step forward.
And just one before we move on to, I suppose, the body of the conversation. Just is there an amusing story or anecdote that you can share about your times within the industry?
As I said, I worked for 25 years in the industry almost. I had a few steps outside another business, but so many. For some, I would not dare to even share who was involved.
Yeah, you have to be careful here. Yeah.
I think this is a very dangerous question for me. But I think the biggest, of course, is the most amusing thing is I think the sense of humor in the industry is really good. And I think for me the most amusing bit is all the time to learn from the different cultures, different countries, and how people react in certain situations, whether it's dinner in Spain starting at 1 o'clock in the evening, that even the Spanish waiters were really concerned. And if you arrive there before 10, they don't like it, but after 1, they were also not so happy. And so many stories, but it's a lively industry, I would say. Yeah.
It certainly is. It's a unique industry, that's for sure. So no, thank you for those answers. I think
if you add to that the fact that people stay in the industry for so many years, that can only be if you have many amusing stories.
Packaging coatings from PPG draw on our company's 140-year history of innovation. We never stop improving our solutions to meet the evolving needs of can makers and the marketplace. That spirit of innovation results in technology like the cradle-to-cradle platinum-rated PPG Innovel Pro. PPG Innovel Pro is the latest enhancement to the world's #1 non-BPA beverage can coating. It still doesn't use any bisphenol ingredients, but experienced can makers report that it now sprays like an epoxy. Follow PPG Packaging Coatings on LinkedIn or visit packagingcoatings.com to learn more about why PPG is the coatings partner for can making excellence.
Right, so Luke, thanks very much for joining me for this discussion. I think probably for our audience that are not so much well versed with APEAL, if you can just probably start this discussion and just provide a bit of a background behind the organisation and essentially their remit within the steel industry.
Yeah, I think APEAL is an organization, an association, I should say, from all tin mill suppliers, producers in Europe. So all the producers in Europe are also a member. And the remit of the association is very clearly to make a very clear link between legislation, everything that happens in the European community in relation to packaging, and to represent the industry in all kinds of discussions, and to defend and to promote our material, and to make sure our position is very well prepared and maintained. So that is the background of APEAL. We do that for many years. I'm the 13th president, I heard. I didn't know, by the way, but I learned that in hindsight. And we have a rotating mechanism every 2 years. So that says something about how long APEAL exists. And again, it is working with Brussels, working with legislation. I mentioned already before to you the CFPA discussion. That is a typical APEAL task to look at, to look out for all the industry's interests. So that's what APEAL is doing.
Excellent stuff. And so how do you balance this presidency with your day-to-day role? And it's probably a nice opportunity here to introduce yourself as well. Currently with Tata Steel, and lots of experience within the steel industry. So I suppose balancing the two roles is certainly going to keep you busy anyway, that's for sure, in the next couple of years.
Yeah, that's for sure. My background is that I started with Tata Steel 25 years ago. It was called Hooghovens in those days, and afterwards called Chorus. I started in packaging as an account manager. I developed and I became responsible for the technical department within the packaging business of Chorus in those days. I had a time outside packaging. I did some business, some sales responsibility in the automotive sector of Tata Steel. Worked in the marketing department. Had some other sales responsibilities in engineering, tubes, a lot of different products. And then since 2 years back in packaging, 2.5 years. So back to where I started. So a wide experience in the steel industry. And out of the 25 years in the company, 15 is in packaging. So my broadest experience is in the packaging business.
And just curious, I mean, how demanding is the role as president? Do you have, is it a particular set amount of hours per week, or is this like a volunteer role? How does it work with your day-to-day role, and do the two complement each other well? I'm just curious from our perspective.
That was my first reaction. They complement very well, because a lot of topics being discussed within APEAL, within the board. The board members are all representatives from the different companies in Europe. The topics we discuss are also being discussed within Tata, and I'm sure also within other companies in the business. So there is from a topic point of view, there is a big overlap. Sustainability is for everyone at the forefront. CFPA, I mentioned it, so technical development is for everyone very important. So it takes time, because I will talk to the team in Brussels. I will be closely involved with the team. We have board meetings, but let's say from a knowledge and preparation point of view, a lot is already part of my role anyhow, in being active in the packaging industry. So there's a lot of synergies. Let's call it like that.
No, excellent stuff. And just some of the communications that have coming out of APEAL recently. One with the record recycling rates in Europe for a 10th straight year, which is obviously fantastic news. I'm just curious, these stats are obviously a real positive, but how, certainly with your presidency for the next couple of years, I mean, is it going to be a challenge to keep improving these rates year on year? Because there must come a point at some point where there's a glass ceiling and the 100% total recycling of steel is unobtainable, or is it obtainable? I'm just curious to find out from you.
I think what is obtainable is, in theory, 100% is attainable. It's obtainable, practice, whether it's precisely 100% or 99.9, that's a big question. But I'm sure it will be very close. We see in total in Europe, we have around 85% recycling, 85.5 to be precise. But we see countries in Europe where we are well above the 90. In the Netherlands, where I'm from, we are at around 95. We see countries like Belgium and Spain close to 100. So I personally think that if it is possible here in Spain, Belgium, it will be possible everywhere. It might take some time, but for me, there is no glass ceiling. And certainly not if you realize that steel packaging is probably the easiest recyclable material in packaging possible. Because with a magnet, you can take it out of every waste stream you can think of. So that is why we think we can get very close. And that is also the reason why we really push for zero landfill. Because once it's in the landfill, there is no way back. Unless we start digging, but that is not economical viable probably. But so yes, we think we can improve a lot. And we have the evidence in the different countries that we can be well above the 95%. So there is a lot of room for improvement still. Yeah.
And that room for improvement, how are you guys trying to implement that? Because it certainly sounds like it's obtainable, but in practice, it requires a lot of synergy between the industry as a whole and also consumers, etc. So I'm just interested to see how we as an industry can improve upon those rates.
Now, I think as an industry, that is rightly so. As an industry, we're not just the packaging steel producers. That also includes the can makers and also, of course, the brand owners. Because at the end of the day, the recycling starts with the end user. And they need to do something to bring it back to wherever. And I think as an industry, we can still improve the awareness with the end consumer ourselves. Because you, me, we are also the end consumer. And we can still improve the knowledge and the possibilities with steel for packaging from a recycling and closing the loop point of view. So I think as an industry, we can improve there. APEAL is not really there to have direct consumer communication and consumer. So we focus on our industry partners and also on organizations in the different countries within Europe to really make this work. And so I think that is what we as an industry can still improve. We're doing a lot. We have achieved a lot. But as I said, if you're at 85 and you want to get to 100, there is still 15% to go. And that starts with legislation, local systems, supply chain, and consumer awareness. Lots of things that still need to be done by the industry as a whole. And we cannot do it as a tin mill producers on ourselves. We need the whole industry on board. And we find a lot of willingness from all the parties involved. But we also find that sometimes perception, knowledge is not up to where it should be. So that is still something we can work on. Yeah.
I know you guys don't tend to work in the communication side of things for the end consumer, but I'm just curious, seeing as we have you as a guest now, I'd be interested to sort of pick your brains, so to speak, about how the industry can interact with consumers a little bit better. There's often when I've been at trade shows and events around the globe within the industry, it's always been labelled that us as an industry in the metal packaging industry is very good at talking to each other. Yeah. But actually communicating that to the wider consumer, often because brand owners are in multiple industries and also aren't necessarily going to legislate for metal as just one, as the perfect packaging container, so to speak. So who is it up to communicate this message? Is it up to the industry members as a whole, or is there any way that the industry can do better to actually communicate the benefits of steel packaging to a wider audience?
I think currently we are using the national associations throughout Europe. As APEAL, we supported the initiative in Germany. We developed a toolkit to be used for consumers. And we used, I think in Germany, they used an influencer for that to get it to the consumer. I know from my own company where we do a lot of work in the UK, visiting schools. So we bring it to the students and to the pupils in the schools to explain them about the importance of recycling, for instance, but also other aspects of steel for packaging. So a lot is being done by individual parties in the industry and by the national associations. If you ask me, as a bigger industry, there is, as we speak, not a European campaign to promote steel or metal for packaging. That is not alive, and I think that is something we can improve. But yeah, that is so far. We have many associations, but we did a lot of attempts. We do a lot of communication, but there is room for improvement in our view. Yeah.
So yeah, now just moving on swiftly for your presidency, I'm just curious to, in the press release that was released recently with APEAL, you said that there are many challenges remaining for steel packaging, and I'll be like to your views on what those challenges are and what you and the organisation are doing to tackle those challenges.
I think by the biggest challenge, if you want to use it in one word, is of course future-proof. Sustainability, how do we make sure that steel for packaging will be the preferred material going forward? We have proven for 200 years, more than 200 years, we can be a big player in the market. But for now, with all the legislations and all the targets on green steel, I think the whole industry, in their own way of thinking and all with their own principles, are all trying to reduce CO2 output, so to become carbon neutral by 2050. So that is, I think, for the steel industry by far the biggest challenge, and that includes the steel for packaging industry. And there we even have a further challenge, of course, to remain an important player in the food chain and all the other markets and products we are active in packaging. But for us, that is probably the main challenge. The other one, in my view, personally, I think the whole food waste discussion is also a huge challenge. There is a lot of, I think globally, around 30% of the food produced is never used or thrown away. That, of course, is almost unacceptable if you see how many people in the world, on the globe, are not having enough food on a daily basis. By the way, we think steel for packaging is a very good solution because it's a very solid pack style, so you can transport it. You don't need to cool it. You don't need to refrigerators to keep it. So therefore, also being a very, from an energy consumption point of view, very good product to store and to transport. So those for me are the biggest challenges as an industry. So food waste and becoming at the forefront of the climate change discussions. So CO2 neutral, and not only CO2, but looking at the total sustainability discussion around metals and packaging, steel for packaging especially. Yeah.
So yeah, they seem like two very important topics that we need to tackle as an industry. So I suppose, apologies if this is a direct question, but how, as president, are you going to look to tackle those two issues to improve the results? Because ultimately we're in the results business to try and improve things. So it's all well and good saying these are the issues. It's about having how are we going to tackle these things, so to speak. So it'd be interesting to see how you think these can be improved upon.
First of all, communication. I think communication is probably the most important thing. If we analyze all the facts on the table, we have a good story to tell, and not always is the end consumer aware of all the benefits we provide. So therefore, first of all, communication. I think that's one. Second is cooperation. We have, as an industry, we need to do a lot together. And there cannot be one player that will change the whole industry. We need to work together there. And as a president of APEAL, first of all, I'm the chairman of the board, and so there is a board. So we have a democratic institute. So we need to agree. But I think what we do there is really to every year we look at the biggest challenges ahead, what to do on a communication platform. But second, where can we work together from a technology point of view? CFPA is an example, but there might be more to follow. So I think that is the main thing we can do as an association. At the end, we don't have our own assets. We are not a physical player in the supply chain. Then the other thing, when I talk communication, it's not only to the industry and the consumer, but very clearly also to Brussels, to the legislator in Europe. We need to make sure we organize sessions with members of the parliament, with many players in Europe, to really make them aware of advantages of steel, and certainly steel for packaging. So those are the things we can do, and that's what we will do.
No, it sounds like the industry and the association are in safe hands with what you guys have got planned there. So no, that answers my question perfectly. So thank you for that. And from my perspective as well, I mean, food waste is a huge issue globally, and I think we're really at a perfect storm as well, because cost of living crisis globally as well. I think potentially steel packaging could come into its own as a viable solution to this amount of food waste, and I think the two sort of mirror up quite nicely.
Yeah, I think so too. And even when we saw, and I'm not advocating that the COVID crisis should come back, but we saw indeed that consumption of cans was increasing. Because it under these circumstances, it's a very good pack style to help the end consumer, ideally in its needs. And so we are convinced we have a very good product. We have a very good proposition. We need to extend the knowledge with the end user, with the consumer. We need to sometimes convince parliament members. We need to explain. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And what you say is true. This time is a very crucial time. The coming years will be crucial for many industries, by the way, whether it's in terms of economic developments, but also geopolitical development. There is a lot going on with trade and trade barriers and protectionism. It's a complicated world, I would say, and difficult to predict where we will be in 5 years from now. But our job in APEAL is to make sure steel for packaging will be there. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you're right. The last 5 years, I mean, if you would have said 5 years ago that the challenges that we would have had to have navigated, obviously COVID, war in Ukraine, cost of living, supply chain issues. I mean, we've not even tackled the supply chain issues, which I can imagine for the steel industry has been no different to every other industry globally. It's been a real challenge to try and tackle.
Correct. So that it is indeed a nice time to be a part of the board of APEAL, to chair it, because a lot of things come together here. Yeah.
And this is probably a nice opportunity for a little nod to your predecessor, Viliam Gašpar, who has had a tricky couple of years, hasn't he? That obviously we've had the fallout post-COVID, the supply chain issues, raw material costs. So I can imagine it's been a challenge for him, and one that he has tackled with great distinction. Yeah,
I think so too. And when I was appointed, I thanked him for that, because I think probably in the APEAL history, he probably will have had the most difficult 2 years to chair. A lot of new members. Persons, the companies were still the same, but a lot of people changed, and not being able to travel easily and to meet each other face to face, resulted in some challenges. But the last meeting we had altogether turned out to be one where we were quite pleased with what we have achieved over the last 2 years. So all in all, very, very good. And certainly when you look at what APEAL did during COVID, we organized an online event. And I'm not saying people liked it even better than the physical ones, but as we started, I think the fact that people could choose to be there physically or online is very useful. Because physically sometimes it's impossible, and then online is a very nice option. And I think that the organization did very well, and we were all very pleased with it. So looking forward to do these types of things more often in the future. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's is a nice place to conclude about how it's not just big business in general that has to look at how it adapts, and organizations and associations very much have to adapt to the way the world is now. And sometimes it's physically impossible to get members in the same place at the same time. So by offering virtual events, virtual meetings, and also the traditional events as well, it gives people options to conduct business in a more efficient way. So that's
right.
Refreshing to hear. And from my point of view, I think that's everything covered. So it sounds like you've got a busy but exciting couple of years ahead. So wish you all the best with your endeavours for the next 2 years. And perhaps we'll catch up in a year or so to see how you're getting on. So thank you, Luc. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, that would be nice to catch up. I was about to say, otherwise you have to probably in 2 years ask my successor how it went. But let's be in touch maybe somewhere in the middle of the period that I will be the president for the coming 2 years. So that will be nice. Yeah. So thank you. Yeah.
No worries. Thank you very much.